Hi, Rose. I'm going to do a little
Hello.
intro of you and then we'll jump right in, okay?
Sure. So I'm Rose Sterling. I'm the CEO and co-founder of an immersive media tech company called Shiftly. We enable brands to shift product via immersive and personalized experiences. A use case would be if you're at a concert, for example, a Beyonce concert, and as you enjoy her performing on stage, you're able to buy merchandise from her show. You're able to purchase tickets to the next show. You're also able to download her album all in real time while you're watching the performance. So that's just one of the exciting features that we're working on at the moment.
That's so cool. Oh, I can't wait to hear more about that. So
Perfect.
I'm glad that you got to catch the tail end of that last talk because we
Yeah.
started talking about like taking chances, right? And this
Yeah.
conversation, our container, is the art of leading with your gut, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
we're going to talk about like exploring intuition, how intuition plays this crucial role in various aspects of our lives, from personal relationships to career choices through interactive workshops. And you do it with insightful discussions and you're tapping into all these different ways to harness this intuition into everyday decision making. So talk to
Absolutely.
me about how you realized when you maybe weren't listening to your intuition and what that
Gosh.
felt like and looked like, and then when you realized how important it was to do that.
I think I've always kind of had this moral compass that sort of led me to kind of go inward when sort of making decisions as a whole.
Mm,
I was brought up in a very religious family, and so it was very much kind of second nature to kind of go to a higher power and consult before you sort of make any decisions. Hasn't worked
mm.
every single time, I have to say. Do you know what I mean? But I think as a
Sure.
whole,
Maybe we're asking for the wrong thing sometimes.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But as a whole, I think it's just been kind of a habit that I've sort of always done. My
Hmm.
life has been definitely a kind of roller coaster of experience.
Yeah.
I'm a mother of four. I've got two adult children and two younger children. I didn't kind of go the traditional route of kind of going through education. I had my daughter quite young and went directly into the music industry from sort of 18, 19. And that was sort of my first entrance, I think, into really kind of trusting my intuition and kind of going with the
Mm,
flow or kind of going inward.
mm.
We actually went to an Usher concert. Myself and my sort of singing partner went to an Usher concert, managed to get backstage, sung a few lines for Usher's manager, and within 2 weeks we were living in LA. And that was definitely not an impulse, but definitely a kind of an intuitive decision. The fact that we even got backstage was, a blessing in itself.
Hmm.
But that whole kind of music industry journey definitely has prepared me for kind of where I am today.
Oh my gosh, I love that. And what is making music but listening to your intuition, right? Like creation.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
something magic in there. There's something mysterious that we don't fully understand, but we just got to do it.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think music, art, painting, singing. I'm a very creative person, and so those creative outlets are kind of definitely the way that I tune in to myself. And I
Mm,
definitely recommend that to anyone else, and I'm sure anyone who is sort of creative definitely can agree with me on that. But there's other ways of kind of tapping into that intuition, whether it's kind of meditation or yoga or tai chi or just going into the park, going for a walk. These are definite ways of kind of finding that tune of yourself within. I've recently started running as well, I will say.
oh,
A
nice.
definite, yeah, a new thing that I've sort of been doing, but it's been so incredible, not only, for obvious health reasons, but
Yeah.
also to kind of find that quiet time and kind of get into that
Mm,
zone of, what is my agenda today? What is it that I need to achieve? What is it that I need the team to achieve today? And how can I help them to do that? So it's always a kind of great way to kickstart the day and start off on a high. So yeah.
I love that. Lee Moore and I earlier were talking about how she took up running, and I'm more cycling myself is like my thing. And you know what's great about those things is you can't really check your phone while you're doing it because you might
Yeah.
die.
Yeah, I mean, my daughter actually bought me a watch the other day,
Oh
the
yeah.
Apple Watch. So I'm able to actually leave my phone and switch off and just kind of get into that zone. But I
Yeah.
think it's really good to take those to actually purposefully look for those quiet moments.
Right.
Life is so hectic. I've got a really busy family. A lot of people do. Whether you're sort of commuting to work or just a busy work schedule, it's really, really important, I think, to kind of take that time to reflect and to recharge and really kind of go within to kind of figure out what it is that you need to sort of do next.
Yeah. Whether, there's that high, like you talk about with something athletic, and then there's also that opposite side, like you mentioned with meditation or Tai
Yeah,
Chi, where we can really slow down, right? Because, like you said, the world is very hectic, especially when I have one, two, three, four devices that can just be like bing, 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 bing.
1000%, 1000%. I mean, I'll lead with this quote that I saw from Albert Einstein, and it says, "Intuition is a sacred gift of a sacred gift that our rational mind and our rational mind should be its servant." And that basically just says we
Mm,
should lead with our intuition, and our rational
mm.
mind to sort of come in secondary to kind of give us, better understanding to that. So it's kind of the combination of knowledge and intuition that is truly powerful in sort of personal and sort of career choices.
I love that. I love that the knowledge is the rational mind is supporting the intuition and not the other way
Absolutely.
around.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You can't sort of do one without the other, I would say. So yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. I completely agree. So can you talk about some of those, maybe some pivotal moments? You talked about the going backstage, getting backstage. That's a pivotal moment of following your intuition, taking a chance. Are there some other big ones? And then talk to me
Yeah.
about what do those little moments each day look like? Maybe a small moment of intuition that's also important.
Sure. So after I did my music industry, I was well, music industry, as you know, is terrible. It's one of the worst industries to get involved with. I think
Yeah,
the sort
my
of
father
whole
is
kind
in
of
it, so I grew up
yeah,
witnessing the music industry, so I understand everything you're talking about.
absolutely, absolutely. And so when I left after about 12 years,
Yeah,
I did some session work, but then I thought, what is it that I can do that I'm passionate about? And for me, sort of beauty, fashion, and hairdressing was definitely kind of something that I really wanted to get into. I
yeah,
saw a job in the local paper, and it was actually to be a manager of a group of salons based in London. They're sort of Regis salons. They're based in the US, I think, predominantly, and then they have some outlets here in the UK. And I was able to get that job on the spot just through sheer determination,
mm,
enthusiasm, and passion for the industry. They were willing to kind of give me all the tools and all the education that I needed to then, become really effective in that leadership role. And it was definitely a huge learning curve for me, managing a team of 12 people, different personalities. Many had been there for many, many years. And so just navigating that, definitely required a lot of skill and just, a lot of sort of adapting to that change and really trying to be the most effective leader that I could be. Um, After a few years in the salon industry, I then thought, look, I'm really tired of kind of working on the floor. I really want to get into the business side of the industry. And my goal was to get to L'Oreal. And so I worked for Goldwell, which is a professional hair care brand. That was another job that I got on the spot, again, just through my communication skills, my enthusiasm for the role, and the fact that I had already done, 3 or 4 years at a previous sort of global company. But yeah, so I worked for Revlon after that. I was part of the UK sales team for Revlon, and then finally came L'Oreal. And for me, I used to drive past the L'Oreal building in Hammersmith and be like, I'm going to work there one day. This is kind of like somewhere that I really want to be. When I got there, they offered me two roles. I took a much more entrepreneurial role in the end. I didn't want to
yeah,
be micromanaged and kind of, working sort of under the cosh, so to speak.
right.
And so I took a much more entrepreneurial role, and I hated it after about
Mm,
sort of 2 or 3 years. I really didn't like it. And I think it wasn't the sort of day to day of kind of meeting clients, because I was a key account manager. So I looked after all the big accounts, all the Tony and Guys and the headmasters, all of the big sort of salon accounts and artistic accounts in the UK. It was much more down to I just didn't want to climb the ladder. I knew, and it's back to this intuition part again, I knew that it was an opportunity for me to learn as much as I can, to
mm,
connect with as many people as I could, to broaden my network as much as possible, and leave. And it came to yeah, it came to a point where I was pregnant with my son. I went on maternity leave. They were ready to onboard me to come back into the role, but they completely shifted my role. And it was at that point that I thought, look, do I really want to go back into this and have to rebuild my territory and kind of build these partnerships that I've worked so hard on, or do I really want to step out and do something new, something for myself, something that I could be in control of? And that was it. I handed in my notice and started a fashion and beauty agency. And the L'Oreal job was so comfortable. It was company car. It was, amazing benefits. We would get a dividend every year. We would travel every year for the launch of products all over Europe. And so there was really no need to leave. I could have stayed there. I could still be there.
Rationally, there was no need to leave, right?
Yeah. There you go. There you go. There you go. Exactly. I knew, again, being in tune with my intuition and able to kind of see the time to kind of make that change. And I made that huge jump from corporate, very comfortable corporate, into the world of entrepreneurship.
I love that. So inspiring, so exciting, and it's brave and bold to do things like that. Was it
Yeah,
scary?
it was definitely, yeah, very, very scary. I had a, very young baby,
Oh,
young
wow.
family. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so, my passion really, although the reason that I wanted to start this beauty and fashion agency was because I really wanted to help up and coming talent to get into these high level, very niche jobs, editorial work and commercial work with the likes of, Vogue and, JW Anderson, all these great brands. And then within a year, H&M, which is a huge high street fashion brand, approached us and said, look, guys, we love what you're doing. We want you to come and work with us. And that was absolutely mind blowing. We didn't go looking for it. And again, that was like a nod to say, you're going in the right direction, you're doing the right things. Definitely kind of built our confidence. And it wasn't a direction that we wanted the business to go in. We didn't plan out to sort of set up these beauty bars with H&M. We were very much focused on just being an agency and connecting amazing talent to these great high-level makeup, hairdressing, and sort of set design jobs in the market. So yeah, it was definitely a huge gamble, but it definitely paid off because, as I said, we got this huge partnership with H&M. Primark, which is another high street brand, they then followed on and said, look, we love what you're doing with H&M. Would you do a very, very similar thing for us? We also had an outside company try to acquire our company during that time. So things were just really kind of snowballing into this fantastic ride that I didn't kind of aim for. Yeah.
And they didn't acquire you, it sounds like. It sounds like you
Well,
chose to not do
no,
that.
it was a little bit too early in our journey. I really, we were just getting started. All of these partnerships were just kind of falling at our feet. And so it was like, why would we sell off something that is just so embryonic? Let's see where this goes first. Let's really build this out, and then obviously we can command a lot more once we're in a better position.
And I'm putting money in the $10 word jar for embryonic. It's a very good one. Solid, Rose. So, okay, so rationally, it didn't make any sense to leave your comfy job. You said you had a new baby. So how do you distinguish between intuition and impulse making decisions, or radical, just uncomfortable decisions because we're feeling antsy?
Sure. I mean, I would say that an impulse decision is something that's driven on emotion. You sort of get some news and you make a choice, off of the back of that knee-jerk reaction. Whereas, intuition is much more, as I mentioned before, focusing on the knowledge around the issue, or the what's going on in front of you, and kind of matching that with the intuition. I knew that I didn't want to stay in corporate. It didn't fit me. I think I had many episodes of imposter syndrome while I worked at L'Oreal. Although I love the job and, working with the product was incredible. I learned so much. I just knew I didn't want to become the UK director, or I just knew I just didn't want to, follow that path. I wanted to be in charge of what it is of my life, really. And so I really wanted to follow with my passions. So it was a definite combination of, this is what I really love to do. This is what I feel like where I should be. And then, when the job started coming, it's kind of like, well, this is definitely we're onto something here. This is something that's absolutely working. And we just sort of went for it. But then there was after about 3 years, the pandemic came, and, the pandemic turned everything on its head. And You know,
Yep.
our teams were getting, you know, antsy, services were going down, turnover revenue was, you know, very up and down. And so we made another huge decision. What I will say is my daughter, my oldest daughter, is my co-founder as well. So that's been
Oh,
a
I
journey
love
in
that.
itself.
It's a family affair. That's
It
so
is,
beautiful.
it is a family affair. Yeah. Again, through my sort of career, she's been coming to a lot of events and stuff. So she's been birthed into fashion beauty by
I love
default.
it.
Yeah.
My mom
Um,
always says, I'm the youngest of four, and she always says, I just made my people.
yes,
You
yes,
know, like
exactly. I,
I
I
made my
literally
best
made my
friends.
people. Yeah. I say that to my kids all the time. I made my own people. Absolutely.
There you go. So
Absolutely.
You and Gail get along.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I definitely resonate with that.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, we decided that we didn't want to do all the firefighting every day. We were tired of kind of solving those sort of minor issues on a day to day, and we really wanted to focus on the technology side of things. And that's really where Shifty was born,
Mm.
of a need of after talking to hundreds of brands and loads of them saying, look, we want another platform, you know, that will diversify our consumer reach away from the likes of YouTube and Instagram and TikTok. You know, what else is there out there? How else can we connect to our consumer? And from there, we've done a lot of consultations, a lot of A/B testing, and then this idea of kind of creating a technology that would enable brands to create this immersive experiences for their consumers really was birthed, and we've just really developed that further on from there, bringing on the best of the best in terms of tech. We've got our CTO, for example, is ex-Net-a-Porter in matches, so he truly understands the trends in fashion and the challenges in fashion for the future. And that has really that has enabled us to fine tune our technology really and kind of got us to where we are now.
Amazing. Has AI played another big factor this year for you in
Yes.
incorporating these tools? Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. AI, I think, is driving most things now forward. AI for us hones into our personalization piece. Being able
Mm.
to personalize the immersive experience for these brands is, again, another game changer. And then that also gives us another deep set of insights and data that we can then also harness for these brands to help them to really fine tune their activations and their future planning, etc.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. So we've heard a lot about quite a few of the successes. I want to know, has there been times when you followed your intuition and it led to a setback? And how did you navigate that?
Definitely. When I left L'Oreal, I actually lost my home at that time. Yeah,
Mm.
there was, so I'd had savings and things were kind of, you know, I'd had a little bit of a cushion, if you like.
Mhm.
But then the landlord where we were staying decided to sell the property. And there was you know, I just thought, you know, look, let's take this time, go back to my parents and use that resource to enable us to really build something that will give us the foundation that we need to really propel us into the future. And that was a huge gamble, you know. There were parts of, so although we were getting all of these great partnerships with Jada Bennison and Nike and H&M and everything on that side, I was at my mom's house and I was working in the garden and I'm working in the kitchen, and do you know what I mean? So there was definitely this
Yeah.
kind of, oh, I'm at this London Fashion Week, but then I'm going back to my mom's house.
Hmm.
So there was definitely this kind of, you know, dual paradox kind of happening at the same time, that was definitely mind blowing.
Was it
But I think,
humbling
you know,
too?
very humbling. Yeah, definitely
Mm.
humbling. You know, coming from, as I said, you know, having a company car and, you know, loads of money and just everything very much kind of catered and supported, to, you know, walking the tightrope of being an entrepreneur. Absolutely, every day was difficult. And then even when we had the partnerships with H&M, there'd be times when they'd pay invoices late, and so our teams, yeah, our team, and that's, I think, a lot of small brands, you know, really struggle with that when they're working with these
Yeah.
huge global companies. Invoices
Yeah.
late can kill a company. And so I'd have
Hmm.
a lot of sleepless nights, you know, how am I going to pay the team, and how are we going to, you know, get the next order in, and all of these different things happening at the same time. So it wasn't all peaches and roses and wow, this is all moving forward. There was a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of sweating, a lot of, you
Yeah.
know, borrowing from friends and family to kind of make things fit together. Um, and it's really just brought us closer together as a family. And not only that,
Mm.
I think it's really given us some really good skills as entrepreneurs and as leaders, in terms of how we can navigate those difficult times and also, really capitalize on the great times as well.
Incredible. Thank you for sharing that.
Sure, no worries.
Yeah, I think it's really helpful. It's helpful for me. I hope it's helpful for people on the call listening to hear about the stuff that doesn't go well. Because on the outside, it looks like, oh, Rose has been killing it and she's always been killing it, right? And it's like, well, we're human and life is hard.
On a personal side, even on a personal side, it's in relationships and choosing partners, that also can be quite tricky. I'm currently coming out of a 15-year relationship, and that's been a very difficult transition, deciding, is this something that I want to stay in? Is this something that I've outgrown? My intuition tells me that yeah, there you go. My intuition tells me that there is life after the end of a relationship, and there isn't anything to worry about. I think a lot of people stay within these relationships just because it's comfortable and it's easier and all the rest of it. But for me, I'm definitely not one to sort of fit the mold. I'm kind of kind of always challenging myself in a lot of ways. But I think even with that, knowing when it's time to say, okay, that's it, is really, really important, because a lot of damage can be done overstaying and kind of trying to make it work as well. Yeah.
It's a superpower to know when to leave the party.
It is. It definitely is. It definitely
I
is.
used to be the last one out. I'm not that person anymore.
Yeah, it's absolutely been a journey, and I mean we're still in the midst of it. We're not at the end. We're raising currently at the moment for SHFTLY. We do have some incredible partnerships though, with Condé Nast and BBC and Channel 4, some really great partnerships, as well as some independent brands as well. So not only the big guys, but definitely some smaller independents as well. And that's a challenge. Raising money in the UK, or I think in any country, is pretty tough at the moment.
Yeah.
And there are absolutely days where I go, what am I doing? Should I be doing this? Maybe I should go back to L'Oreal. But the fact that I've got L'Oreal on board, and the fact that I've got Vogue on board, and the fact that I've got all these huge brands saying, yes, Rose, we want this, is definitely enough to kind of keep me buoyant and pushing forwards. And then also the incredible team. We have an incredible team. And we're looking for new team members as well, which I will say. So, anyone in the audience who's great with operations or a great tech dev, I'll give them my details later on so you can reach out.
Yeah, great. Well, we have just about 6 minutes left. So what advice would you offer to someone who is maybe struggling to find the key to their intuition, that is unsure how to interpret intuitive signals, or maybe even just tap into them at all if they feel disconnected from that?
I think, as I said as I mentioned earlier, I think being able to kind of go out into nature, sit with purpose, and just kind of have that calmness. I think that really is the beginning, I think, of being able to listen to yourself and trust yourself. Trusting in intuition, I think, is another thing, because I think when you hear that inner voice and you kind of forget that, you might have a voice that says, move that cup from the edge of the table, and then you don't do it, and 2 minutes later it's all over the floor and you've made a mess. Yeah,
you're like, I didn't listen to it.
Yeah, exactly. But I think the more you sort of listen to those little prompts, that voice becomes louder, the trust becomes much more concrete, and it really helps to sort of navigate you in your life, on a day-to-day basis. But it takes practice. It definitely does, because for me, I struggle with it myself sometimes, but just kind of being able to kind of just stop for that second, do that meditation, do that breath work. Breath work is another really great way to kind of go internally, and for anxiety as well. Amazing for that.
Oh yeah. Slows the heart rate down, brings the cortisol down, tells my primordial being that I'm not being chased by an animal that wants to eat me. I'm okay.
Exactly. We can spend so much time in that fight or flight mode, and the cortisol levels rise and create so much chaos within the body. And so any kind of time that you can find to kind of, relax and just go within, I think is super important. And that can be, as I said, meditation, prayer. Prayer is a great one for me, because you're sort of speaking out those issues as well. dancing, singing, playing an instrument, all of those outlets will help you to connect with your inner self. And as I said, that combination of knowledge and intuition really is so powerful.
Truly. I love earlier you mentioned that you were brought up in a family where connecting with a higher power was normal, right? It's normalized and it's been part of your life for a long time. And I resonate with that too. If I grew up in a household that gave me the freedom. They didn't say this is the way to there isn't one way to do it. And there was a lot of
Yeah,
options in this household, which I'm very grateful for. And as I've gotten older, it changes, I find my own way. I listen to
yeah,
that intuition. And a friend of mine uh, started referring to it as a deeper power.
yeah.
So it's not necessarily always outside of me, which is great. That's helpful too. But then there's also that it's within that helps me and guides me.
1,000%. Yeah, 1,000%. I think it's part of sort of knowing yourself and really understanding who you are as a person. It's part of that whole spectrum.
Yeah.
And I think the more that you can really be in tune with yourself will only give you better outcomes in the long run, make you a better leader, a better mother, a better partner,
Hmm.
just enhance you as a person overall.
Absolutely. And it's those small wins, right? If you're new to meditation or you used to do it and you dropped it off, or I don't my practice isn't perfect, right? But
Yeah,
my my dad told me at a very early age, I was like, well, I don't know if I have like 30 minutes or an hour or whatever. And I was like, sometimes I only have a couple minutes. He's like, sometimes all you need is a couple minutes.
yeah,
And that was so
absolutely.
freeing, right? Like, what if I just did a 1 minute meditation? Because you end up
Yeah,
doing more, right? It's like,
yeah,
but a little life hack. But 1 minute, stop, do a few breaths,
yeah.
reset your day, right?
1,000%, 1,000%. Anxiety can really creep up on you. You don't even know you've got it sometimes. And
Mm,
so, yeah, 1,000%. That little breath before you get out the car, the little breath
yeah.
before you step out the door can
Uh-huh.
really just reframe things and just reset things in a really positive way. So,
Yeah. There's a great trick I learned from Sam Harris, who has uh I forget that I'm blanking on the name of his thing, but Sam Harris is a meditation teacher and he was a meditation skeptic for a long time, which I love about him.
cool.
And he's like, give yourself little cues. I don't know that he came up with this, but I learned it from him. Like every time you open a door or every time you pour a glass of water, like it doesn't matter what it is, but it's just like take that moment to give us those
Yeah,
little check-ins, right?
1,000%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, yeah, so important. I was actually watching a TED talk with Janine Barron, and she's a prolific sort of mentor, writer, and sort of very focused on pioneering thinking systems. And what
Mm,
she said was, um, do you want to reach your highest potential? And so intuition is your internal guidance system. And so
mm.
using that really will help you or propel you to becoming the best version of yourself.
Oh, I love that. I love that. What is the best way for us to stay connected with you and connect with your company, your wonderful things you're doing?
Great. So the website is shiftley.tech. So you can have a look at the website there. There is a form there that you can fill out if you're looking for work or if you're looking to collaborate in any way. Feel free to drop us a line through there. I'm on LinkedIn, Rose Sterling. If you just search, I will pop up there. On Instagram, I'm Roses_London. I don't post often, I
Ooh,
have to say. Yeah, I don't.
roses in London. Oh, that sounds fun.
I don't post very often, but I'm trying to get out there a little bit more, just because I
Yeah.
think I've got a pretty exciting story.
Well, we'll
I am
both go
writing a book
watch
as well.
Vanessa's stuff and we'll figure out how
Yes,
to do that, right?
perfect, exactly. Exactly, exactly. I am sort of writing a book in the background as well, just because just so much has happened. Yeah, just so much has
Yeah.
happened. Things I haven't
Yes,
even mentioned
Rose.
today. Yeah, yeah,
Go, go, go,
absolutely.
Rose. That's so exciting. Yes.
I think it'd be a shame to go through all of this and not kind of document the journey. I think there's a lot that other people can glean from, positive or
Absolutely.
negative from what we've been through. And so,
Good,
yeah,
bad, and the
definitely want to
ugly,
share as
right?
much as I can. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely,
What do you have a name
absolutely.
for the book? We don't have another speaker slammed up in this slot right now. I'm going to throw
Okay,
everyone to the next one, so we're okay.
sure.
W-
Okay.
Um, what's the name of your book?
I don't have a title quite
Okay,
yet. Not
yeah,
yet. Yeah,
yeah.
not yet. Not yet. But
But
as I said,
it's like when
just
you're pregnant and you're like, you can't know the name of the child. It's up to me until they're born, you know?
yeah, it's almost like I want to ride it first and kind of see how it feels,
Yeah,
intuition
yeah,
again,
yeah.
and then and then kind of go from there in terms of what I want to name this new
Right,
baby.
right.
But yeah, let's see what happens. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, let it reveal itself, right?
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
Go with the flow as much as I
Go
can.
with the flow. That seems to be Rose's theme here. Rose Sterling,
Yeah.
this has been so lovely. I am your new biggest fan. I adore you
Oh, thank
already.
you.
Yeah.
Thank
And
you.
I'm going to follow you on all the things. Thank you for making the
Please
time today.
do.
Yeah.
Please do. Please do.
Please come back. Let's do it again.
Definitely, definitely. I would love to come back. So yeah, definitely.
Okay,
Thank you so
great.
much.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Rose. Have a good rest of your
Thank
day.
you.